Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Retro Gamers Podcast, episode number 258. Larry here. Ant.
What?
Hello.
Oh, hey. What?
Hey. No, we're ready. We're up and running here, my
recording?
friend.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're live, pal.
I'm shopping.
What? it's Black Friday's over, Cyber Monday's over, Tricky Tuesday. You know, they're all done.
You know what? I mean, yeah, Black Friday started like November 1st. Like
It really did.
Like it's ever going to end. I mean,
And-
come on.
Like you mentioned, is there a difference now between Black Friday and Cyber Monday?
No.
Not anymore.
No.
So
I'm surprised they just don't say, hey, Black Friday prices are now the same as Cyber Monday. It's like they just it's like they change everything by $1.
shopping weekend.
Yeah, basically.
That's pretty much about it. So, well, are you buying anything interesting now? Share with the class.
Well, I was looking at some Nintendo Switch games because there have been some interesting sales, but
Okay.
I think I missed out on the good ones. The good ones. I wanted to grab Super Mario Brothers Deluxe U or U Deluxe.
U Deluxe, yeah.
Yeah, U Deluxe. And I think I saw it down to like 27, but that disappeared really quickly.
It's because probably Nintendo found out about it.
Yeah, Nintendo found that. It's like, we do. Yeah, it's like you're giving more than a $10 discount. No, we can't allow this.
How dare you?
How dare you? And then they like hack in and change the prices.
Walmart.
But
All right,
no,
well,
nothing today. But I did
Okay.
pick up a few things for Black Friday. So
Anything just of note, like anything, like what was the top thing?
Avengers for PS5 was down to $10.
Oh wow.
And for
Okay.
for a PS5 game, I'm like, okay, I'll grab that for 10.
Yeah.
Because I never got it before. Guardians of the Galaxy, which just came out last month on my birthday, was already already cut down by over half. It was $27.
All right.
So I grabbed that too. I was like, all right. That's really it for like newer games that were on sale Black Friday.
Like the bigger stuff. Like I said,
Yeah,
kind of
like those were the
key.
big ones. I mean, there were a lot of really good stuff. Like if you are a big Switch player, there were a lot of Switch games marked down.
It's like over 2,000 of them.
Yeah, like and then a lot of like physical copies were down like $20, which is a lot for a Switch game for sales. So yeah, there was a bunch out there. It's just that I guess I was a bit conservative this year.
All right, fair enough.
Didn't really. Well, I still have a backlog anyway. So
That's true. And a lot of the games that are really deep discounted, I already bought full price. So,
because
no
that's
need.
what you do.
No need to do that again. But a couple of things which I'll show later when I get them. I did buy a couple of things with Black Friday sales, but they're more going to be the visual. So we'll wait till those show up. I think they're pretty cool. So
I did grab Luigi's Mansion this weekend for the
Oh, okay,
GameCube,
good.
which I've never played.
you're gonna love. Did you get 3?
No, I never bought 3. So
Okay, so you never played any of them.
no, I
Never owned any.
yeah,
of them.
like I borrowed the first one from somebody when I was in
Mhm.
Florida, and I was really enjoying it, and then I moved, so I gave it back. So I was like, okay, I got to grab it again so I can continue. So that's what I did.
All right.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And perfect time for me to go back through it and finish it because we restarted our 2020
GameCube's on there.
2021 challenge.
Yeah.
GameCube qualifies.
It
So
does.
working on that, and I am maybe 80% done with Super Metroid. I'm getting there.
Okay. All right.
I just got into Meridia. So
Why does that
pretty
sound
far
familiar?
along. Meridia?
No.
It's after the wrecked ship.
I thought it was another game.
No,
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
No, Meridia is
Yeah.
an area in Super Metroid.
No, it is. You're right.
Yeah, and I just got the ball spring where now you can,
Oh,
you can
yes.
jump up as a ball. That's so helpful.
Oh my God, so helpful. Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
of course they put it like last in the game. Or almost last. So,
No, and I'm already, again, I'm 4 deep into Metroid.
which one are you on now?
So again, just in general, because even after 2021 is over, I'm still going to continue with these Metro games. I'm loving them. So again, got through Dread, Super Metroid, Metroid 2 for Game Boy, and Metroid Zero Mission.
Nice.
My combined game time so far for all 4 of those games is 1 day, 9 hours, and like 20 something minutes.
That's awesome.
Yes, I am slow, but that's okay. I don't care as long as I get through the games.
I mean, that's not slow for 4 games. I mean,
Well, I mean, it took me almost a little over 12 hours for Super Metroid, and it took me almost 11 hours for Dread. Luckily, I blew through Zero Mission at about a little over 4 hours.
Yes, you did.
Metroid 2 was about 6 hours, and right now I'm playing Fusion, and I'm about 2 hours and change into that.
Okay, cool.
And then I ended up buying, just real quick, I ended up buying from Game On, not even during Black, I bought it 2 days before Black Friday, so go figure, right?
Of course.
I picked up a ROM of what's called Hyper Metroid.
Oh.
And yeah, it's a homemade ROM based on Super Metroid. It's apparently a lot darker of a story. I didn't get into it, but the story is supposed to be a lot darker, and the gameplay is definitely different enough that they mixed a lot of things up and added a couple areas and stuff. So I'm looking forward to playing that, because that I actually have on a Super Nintendo cart.
Very cool.
So I'll give that one a shot. And with the love of that, I actually went back and I tried again, because I go back this time I haven't played since June. But Bloodstained, which is a Castlevania or a Metroidvania, excuse me, a Metroidvania type game, and I've been stuck for about a year on it, I think, or maybe like 8 months.
Yeah.
Because I kept getting up to Jeeble, I'd beat him, and then it'd be like game over. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm like I'm doing something wrong. So I did go to the internet and I figured out which weapon to use. And once I figured that out, then I'm like, oh my god, there's a whole nother section opened up now.
Yeah.
So now I'm back into that. So
well, that's cool. That game is amazing. I loved playing through that game.
Bloodstained was fantastic, but I just got so stuck and I didn't know what to do. And I must have, because not playing, I forget what the characters talk about. So not real, and I'm not trying to say anything for spoilers, because that game is on sale as we speak, or was. So, the weapon to use and then how to use it during the Jeeble fight, I was like, oh. And then I started, that was the only thing I looked up. Everything else I'm doing, I kind of put 2 and 2 together on.
Yeah.
Once I got past that, it opened it up. I got the Millionaire's Key, so I took care of that.
Nice.
Which I thought was a very funny.
That was really funny and random, right? In this game, I was like, wait, I'm doing what?
Yeah, so I'm into that, but I'm gonna focus on Fusion. But other than that, game wise, that's pretty much good to go. But this week we're gonna focus a little bit different. We're gonna talk about games, but in a different medium.
Okay. Yes,
we're going to talk about a couple of movies that have recently come out. One in the theaters and one on HBO Max. We're going to talk about Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City, and which is in theaters. And we're going to talk about HBO Max's original movie, 8-Bit Christmas.
Yes.
Now, I saw both.
I saw 8-Bit Christmas.
Okay, no problem.
See Resident Evil.
So and in this, we're going to do spoiler free. We're just going to talk about some stuff. Well, at least we're going to try and keep it spoiler free.
It's going to be hard.
You know what? Spoiler. We'll drop the spoiler alert. And can you do a spoiler alert graphic here or something?
Spoiler alert.
Okay, there you go. Excellent. So we'll give a spoiler alert, and as we talk, we'll try and give you a heads up when we're about to mention something. But yeah, it's hard to talk about this stuff. Well, I'm not going to spoil much for Resident Evil because you haven't seen it yet, and I don't want to spoil it. So that one I'll dance around.
You know what? It's one of those movies where if you did spoil it, I think I'll be okay.
I'll still try and dance around it anyway because it was fun.
Fine.
So let's get into it. Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City. New movie, again, only in theaters. It dropped or opened November 24th. Just want to see if I can get some quick facts on here. Let's see. Opening weekend, 5,275,000. It grossed. Wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. Oh, okay. As of this recording, it grossed 8.8 million. Worldwide, 13.9. I like this movie because it was so simple. It's under 2 hours, which is nice nowadays.
Yeah.
You go in, you watch it, you head out.
If you're a Rotten Tomatoes fan, it is currently sitting at 24%.
I am not a Rotten Tomatoes fan. I can care less what they say.
I know, but some people are.
I know, and they're terrible people. But Raccoon City, first of all, this is not at all anything related to the Mila Jovovich series. So this is a complete reboot, something completely different. going into this, I will tell you right now, I believe if you are a fan of the game, you're going to love this.
Okay.
Because this movie was very much about the video game story as opposed to the Mila Jovovich series. And when I compare, if I'm going to compare it to that one, I'm just going to do the original Resident Evil movie because the others were based off of that one.
Right.
And just real quick with the Mila Jovovich one, yeah, it really, they had an original character that Mila played. It really didn't. Yes, Alice. It didn't really take. I mean, it took place in a mansion, but really not the mansion. So it didn't have that game feel, video game feel. Now me, and I know this is where I think we're a little different on this one. With me, if there's a movie adaptation of a video game, I want to see a live action sequence of a video game sequence that I played. And that's what you get here. Okay. You get, I mean, there are just a lot of Easter eggs, a lot of nods to the game. Yeah. And I will say that this movie was absolutely influenced of the first two Resident Evil video games.
Well, even if you saw the trailer, because that's all I've seen, like there's a sequence in the trailer that comes right out of the video game. It's basically the opening of the game before you play it, with the helicopter crashing and them running towards the mansion. Like they threw that right in the trailer, and I'm like, even when I saw that, I was like, okay, this does make me want to see it, because I do agree with you. It's like I want the movie to be able to stand on its own and be a good movie, but to me, the Easter egg is throwing in a sequence from the game that works. Yeah. If it works, if it looks like you just threw it in for no reason, then I have an issue. I was like, but if it makes sense, yes, I do like to see those.
Like, I'll say, like, one of the little nods to the game. Again, nothing major. I caught it. I don't know if everyone caught it in the theater, but like when they first enter the mansion, like they zoom in on the doorknob and you hear that iconic like creak and the door open. Oh, that's cool. Like, that's a load screen. Boom, there. That's what I get a kick out.
Did it take 30 seconds?
At points, it did. The movie does have some slow moments to it. I'm not going to lie. Okay. Building up to the actual action. And also, when I say that it's based on really Resident Evil 1 and 2, it's like the two stories are running parallel to each other. So we do get a lot of jumping back and forth.
I was going to say, can I take a guess and say you have like Chris and Jill in the mansion while Leon and Claire are at the police department?
That's exactly what happens. Yes, I mean it's based on the games, so that's exactly
that's my guess based on the two games.
No, you're right.
So okay,
and then eventually at some point it merges together.
Okay. Cool. Very cool.
Great casting. Just real cool. And I don't know where some of these actors and actresses are from, but for me, and I know I'm gonna be misquoted when I say this, but no, and I don't mean it in a bad way. It's just these are iconic characters, and the actors and actresses who played them, they weren't done so differently that I'm like, all right, well, there's something going. Like they're doing this for a reason. Like, okay, these are the characters. You can put them in the game. Yeah. That original, if they're original characters, do what you want.
Yeah. Looking at
so, Claire Redfield, Kayla Scoldario.
Kaya Scodelario.
Kaya, yeah. Robbie Amell, Chris Redfield. I wonder any relation to Stephen Amell.
That's his brother.
Oh, it is his brother. Okay.
It is his brother. Yep.
Hannah John Kamen as Jill Valentine. Neil McDonough as William Birkin.
Yep.
Tom Hopper as Albert Wesker. And
he is.
Avon Johai as Leon S. Kennedy.
I don't know how to say his name.
Yeah, that one's a little tough. Yeah. And then there's some other ones, some I don't want to mention only because actually they kind of happen near the end as a spoiler.
Do they have phonetics for names on IMDb?
They do not.
It's hard.
One actor I do want to point out, because when I saw him on the screen, I was like, yes, he's in something else. Nathan Dales. You might know him as Derry from Letterkenny. He plays the helicopter pilot, Brad Vickers.
Nice.
So I was like, cool. Nice to see him in a movie. So coming out of this movie, and this is probably where you're going to...
Tangent. I always see, for Letterkenny, I always see one of the hockey guys in other things.
Oh, with the long blonde hair. Yes.
Yes.
He's been doing a lot of stuff as well.
He pops up all over the place.
He was actually in a show as a hockey coach. I don't remember
Yeah,
what it was.
no,
Though.
he was in the
Was he Mighty Ducks?
He was in the Mighty Ducks show.
That's what it was.
He was coach of the Ducks.
Yes, that's right. I guess he just needed a hockey experience, and he had it.
Yeah, exactly.
So bottom line, this is it. I think this is where, unfortunately, you might lose interest in it.
Okay.
And I loved it for this reason. It at times did feel a little B movie like.
Oh no.
Like in the beginning of the movie, like it was very. They're like, "Hey, how are you, Jill Valentine?" I'm doing good. Chris Redfield, like really pointing out who's who.
Now, did they do that as an homage to mock the game? Because one of the most memorable things about the first Resident Evil, in a negative way, was how bad the voice acting was. It was atrocious.
It was. I think it was good for 1996 or whatever. But whatever.
It was awful. The game was amazing, but when they had cutscenes and they started talking, oh my god. It was
They might have. A little bit was on the nose, and then but moving on, it kind of dropped from there. But the beginning was very like that, and like I said, the beginning was a bit of a slow pace, but it kind of got to where it needed to get to. I felt the special effects in the movie. It wasn't overly horror based. I mean, there was some jump scares here. They definitely were able to get the feel of the game. The game, when you play the original game, and I am not an expert on Resident Evil. You know, I've played Resident Evil 1, I've played 2, a little bit of 3. I don't think I played Code Veronica. But then again, the movie was only based on 1 and 2, and there were some hints of the remakes of 1 and 2 in there as well.
Okay.
But the first game is very claustrophobic like because you're playing in a tight space in those hallways.
Yep.
And the movie definitely does represent that. Like there are moments where you feel like you're just like, I can't move.
Okay.
Special effects were really good. I think for the most part, a lot of it was, what do they call it? Not CGI. Like when it's actually tangible, like you can touch it in front of you as an actor.
You mean like physical effects?
Yeah. I can't think of the proper term for it, but
practical.
Yes. There we go. They had to use some, CGI, but I think for the most part they got away with practical, which I appreciate.
I'm very pro practical as well.
Yeah. So, and like I said, not being I'll kind of wrap it up with this, not being a uber historian of Resident Evil, it still gave me those nostalgic feelings of I remember that in the game. I think that was a bonus in the game or something. And even to a point where I go, if I play the game, now I know how to get past this part because of stuff they did in the movie. Okay. So, again, I don't want to give too much away, even for Anthony. I don't want to give because I do want you to see this, even if it's eventually on home video.
That's probably what'll happen.
Home video. Who does that anymore?
Home video. I already pre-ordered the VHS.
You probably could somewhere. Does it, again, is it Oscar worthy? Absolutely not. But it is a fun trip. It will give you a little bit of scares, but it'll definitely give you a lot of nostalgia. The way they set up for a sequel is there. Mm-hmm. And I do hope they do a sequel because obviously it would be Nemesis if they're going now in order of the games.
Yeah. It would be.
And bottom line, I give, all right, I'll do this. Like out of 5 zombies, I'll give it like a 3.5, close to a 4, only because mostly for the nostalgia feel and the that they pulled it from the video game.
Okay, I think that's fair.
So that's my summary of it without giving anything away.
You gave it a 3.5. Then if I'm grading on the scale compared to you, I'd probably give it like a 1.5.
Oh yeah, no, don't get me wrong. You definitely judge worse than I do. I know that, and that's fair because
I don't judge worse. I'm just more critical.
And because you're there, you're in it, you know it.
That doesn't mean anything.
To me, it does. So, but go check it out. You know what? Check it out for a matinee. Save some money.
Okay.
So, and what's the best thing I found out though, because this is the second time I've been to a movie theater since the pandemic. And I didn't realize this the first time I went, but to continue with contactless, the soda machines, you can now run from your cell phone.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
You just put your cup down, you scan a QR code, and then you just fill it from your phone.
Oh wow. Okay. Kind of fun.
So, and finally, I made the mistake of, and I told him, like, I don't care about it. I just find it funny. I went with a friend of mine and his two daughters. So the four of us went. They were kind enough, they picked up the ticket for me. I was like, all right, cool. So we get to the concession stands. Like, all right, I order a concession. Always get my nachos and cheese. Always got to have nachos and cheese at a movie theater. And then I'm like, all right, you know what? Everyone get a snack on me. Oh, oops. Big mistake, because at least on Long Island for 4 people and a bunch of snacks,
Yep.
it cost me over $60.
Wow.
and he was, my friend's like, I'll pay back. I'm like, I'm honestly, I don't care. I just find it funny. And I don't have a family. I don't know how families, or at least family of 4, can afford to go to the movies. But I was flabbergasted.
Welcome to the theater.
So,
Wow.
but yeah, so check it out. Check out Resident Evil. It's a fun ride. Again,
Fair
not going to
enough.
blow your socks off, but it's a fun ride.
Fair enough. Okay.
All right. And then the next movie that we both can now talk about, and this one will probably be a bit more
Yes.
spoiler heavy, is from HBO Max, 8-Bit Christmas.
8-Bit Christmas. This one was a lot of fun.
That's exactly what it is. It's
That's it.
fun.
That was the only way to describe it. I watched it and I said, this was fun.
Yep.
This was fun.
Absolutely. Let me see if I can pull up some stuff here. Well, there's going to be no...
There's going to be no box office stuff. It released, I think, on Wednesday, right? The 24th?
Yes, November 24th. Runs for a little over an hour and a half.
Yep.
And
obviously starring Neil Patrick Harris and a bunch of kids. Oh,
yes.
wait, I'm sorry. Neil Patrick Harris, Steve Zahn. It was nice to see Steve Zahn. And then a bunch of kids.
Yeah. Yeah. And for the again, overall, it hits that nostalgia feel, but for a completely different reason.
Yes.
It tells a story. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it hits the nostalgia in the sense of it was kind of like watching a piece of our childhood.
Absolutely. It's the story of Neil Patrick Harris talking to his daughter, telling her about his trying to get a Nintendo for Christmas. Basically, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm. We're talking the original Nintendo Entertainment System.
Yep. So it takes place in the 80s. So a lot of 80s references, of course.
Oh yeah, it was great.
I gotta say though, the cast of kids that they nailed it with every one of these characters.
Yeah, they were a lot of fun, and they did do. They went a little bit of a stereotype route, like they did some stereotypes with them. But to your point.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, but the kids knew exactly what they were supposed to do.
Yeah, totally.
You know what I mean? Like they were they embodied the characters the best way they could, and they were all really on point with it.
Big shout out to the kid. His name is Winslow Fegley,
Yes.
Who plays young Jake Doyle, basically the star of the movie.
Yes.
He was good. He was really good.
He was great.
He was funny. His reactions were right there.
Yeah.
And as far as the movie itself, it was actually funnier than I thought it was gonna be. Like as far as just like some heavier chuckles than I thought.
Yeah, because so it's pretty. I want to say PG rated, maybe. Like
I would say it's PG.
They didn't go for like the cheap kind of.
No.
Yeah, the cheap.
I know what you're talking about. Like it wasn't like a gross out or anything.
Yeah, exactly. There were a couple of moments there was at least one moment like that, which was really well done.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it leads into it, but you're right. But overall, it wasn't. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
it wasn't
overall, it wasn't gross. Like they hit the humor really nicely.
And it is PG officially.
And it is PG. They hit for a PG movie, they hit the humor really well. And again, the nostalgia factor is definitely there. If you were a kid in the 80s, you're going to relate to a lot of what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Also you shouted out to Wilson Fegley. I got to give a shout out to Chandler Dean, the one who played Timmy Keene, the rich kid.
Oh yes,
he was great.
What a jerk! And we all knew that one kid who had that one system. Maybe it wasn't the NES.
Yeah.
But had that one system, and he had a little bit of an homage to what's his face from The Wizard with the power glove.
But it was great that they showed.
Again, spoiler alert. Yeah, absolute spoiler alert.
How awful the power glove was.
For the record though, there was a couple of, we'll talk about it in a moment. There's only one part like annoyed me, but not, I don't mean in a bad way. I just can't think of another word besides annoyed. But what for continuity, I guess, they didn't have the bar sensor set up for the Power
Yes.
Glove. I was like, no, come on, you were doing so good up until then.
Maybe they couldn't. Maybe they couldn't find one.
This is true, but they're right. It did show off the fact that the Power Glove stunk.
Yeah, no, and I love the fact that they did that. I was worried. I was like, oh god, they're gonna act like the Power Glove was the best thing ever. I was like, so they hit. Yeah, they nailed it. And when they nailed that, like I laughed.
Yes.
When he's sitting there, he's like, come on, come on.
Yep. There's definitely some good part. You know that the part with the TV and the dog.
That was awesome.
That was great.
Yeah.
And the other part I liked again was, you know, just the way when they were going out, like trying to win the NES by selling the Christmas wreaths.
Mm-hmm.
Very funny. The twins were good.
The twins.
Tammy and Teddy Hodges.
Yes, the twins were good. Josh Jaworski, the big
Yeah,
kid.
I was about to say. I gotta say though, my favorite was absolutely the bully.
Yeah, the bully was great.
Cyrus Arnold. I don't know how he was able to get his face to go in the ways that it went. He almost looked like an animatronic. Yes. But he was, and then the one line which I laughed so, it's in the trailer. You know, he's getting ready to beat up the kids. And then like, wait, here's how we can get the NES. And then they're all celebrating with the bully. And the bully just turns to him and goes, ha ha, I'm going to kill you.
And then, and then he goes back to celebrating. Yes.
So he was amazing.
He was great. He actually, and before he even did that, he grabbed one of the other kids and lifted him up. It was just like freaking shaking him like crazy. he did a great job. Yeah, you know,
and, you know, I was worried a little bit when they announced the movie that we weren't going to get, like, we get, all right, fine, the NES, but then that'll be it. But they, you know, they showed some game, like, they showed, like Rampage, they showed Paperboy. It actually opened, basically, with Paperboy.
Yeah.
Well, weirdly enough, not really any of the first-party NES games, but they got a lot of the third-party
they got the third-party games, obviously. And then I want to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, the fighting game that they used, I wanted to look it up, but I just watched it yesterday, so I didn't have a chance to use it. The fighting game that he uses the Power Glove on, I don't think that was a real game.
Oh, no. That absolutely was not a real game.
That was so they chose a made-up game because it had like a Street Fighter-esque kind of setup, but it was great.
And on a slight side story to it, while they're looking for the NES, they're also trying to look for the sister for a Cabbage Patch doll. Yes. And really, we kind of have to mention that was finding a Cabbage Patch doll in the 80s for Christmas.
Oh yeah.
I mean, this is where Black Friday fights originated.
Yep.
Is over the Cabbage Patch doll.
My dad, I think, had to fight his way out of a pool of moms with a Cabbage Patch doll for my sister.
Just swinging elbows. That's it.
Not so much swinging, but I think his football days came back in where he kind of had it tucked under his arm and just kind of bustling through the crowd. No, but that's how brutal it was. Like, you can actually go back. If you go on YouTube, you can find news reports from the 80s of just like literally like mobs of moms fighting over Cabbage Patch dolls that they were literally taking out of the back of the back of the store, and then it was just chaos. It was just absolute chaos.
So a lot of that, memories of that, and then them trying to find like the father who's constantly working on the house, which reminded me of my dad because the house was constantly being worked on.
But working on the house and never finishing anything.
That's what it was. Like literally, my parents have been living there for like 30 years, and they're still working on the house.
Yep.
So
that's how it goes. What was I going to say? It was really nice seeing David Cross. I didn't know he was in the movie.
Yes.
So him showing up was really nice, and the character he played was perfect. Again, for an 80s movie. Again,
playing a scalper.
Yeah, spoiler alert. Yeah, he plays a scalper. He's got all the stuff that, he's got all the toys that people want to get their kids for Christmas. So I thought that was a really cool touch. And the other thing also, which I liked about this movie, which a lot of movies don't do, is that you get to a point where you're like, okay, I see where the movie is going. I know what they're going to do. You're going to go from A to B to C, right? And I liked the swerves that the movie threw at you, because every time I expected them to go in a direction, they took a right turn and went somewhere else. So it's like, oh, here's what's going to happen with the, so again, the wreath collection thing. I'm like,
Okay.
oh, there's a contest. The kid who sells the most Christmas wreaths gets a Nintendo. So I'm like,
Mhm.
okay. I go, I see how this is going to go. You know, Jake, the young Jake kid, is
Mhm.
going to sell like a ton, and he's going to come in second and get something late. You know, and I like the way they handled like where that went, because it went somewhere I didn't expect. And then additionally, like as they continued on in the story, the different ways they're trying to get their hands on a Nintendo. I loved the twists and turns that they made, because they definitely went in ways I didn't necessarily expect them to go.
My heart broke when they're in the mall scene, when we finally,
Yeah.
they do what they do, and then the thing happens, and I'm like, oh,
I was I was
uh,
watching it. I was watching it with somebody,
yeah.
and we gasped at the same time when it happened. Literally, like we're watching it and we're just like
Yeah.
in stereo, and I'm like, oh,
Oh, another, but that reminds me though,
yeah,
Jeff Farmer, the little fat kid,
yeah, he was great.
the habitual liar, he
Yes.
was fantastic. They were
Yeah.
like, what do you say? Like, I got a Nintendo. Yeah, you also said Bon Jovi was gonna be at your house. Yeah, he called.
He was great.
And then when they needed him, he steps up. He's like, I can do it.
Yeah, he was great. He reminded me of immediately when he started lying. He reminded me of Chunk from the Goonies, because that's what
Yes.
Chunk did too.
Yes.
And I was like, oh god, I go, it's another Chunk. I was like, but he was so good. But again, they gave him something to pay off that character.
They all did,
Yeah.
and like you said in the beginning, and whether you want to call it stereotypes or like just 80s, like character, like every 80s movie's always had like a nerd, always had like a fat kid, always had a bully, you know what I mean, always had one of these. So it combined all of that, and then but each one of them, like I said, ended up paying off. Some of the other nostalgia facts, just real quick, like the twins, the girl collected baseball cards, and like the fact that they used that, oh, what's the ball player's name?
Oh, Bill Ripken.
Yes, Bill Ripken, which is such, if you don't know,
Such a pull. That was such a great pull.
that was such a deep pull. I almost texted friends of mine who have no interest in this movie. I'm like, you can't believe they just use a Bill Ripken card, because we've talked about this. This is a very famous baseball card where the guy posed for the card, has a baseball bat, and on the butt of the bat says "F off" or "F this,"
Yes.
but the full word,
Yeah.
and they released it. So
because they didn't catch it.
no, not at all.
Yeah.
So the fact that they use that, I was like, all right, now they really put effort into this, and that I quite enjoyed.
Yeah. I mean, so many. Yeah, to your point, like there were so many. There was those little things that, like, you can tell that the writer of the movie, obviously, very connected to growing up in the 80s, and he threw in so many little things. Again, this is not a real big spoiler, but the twins who were born, obviously,
I was gonna say this.
the twins born on the same day. Obviously, they're fraternal twins, but born on the same day, so they always get gifts they have to split. And their birthday is a few days before Christmas, so all their gifts are combined. Like, just touching on that, because I knew people like that.
Me too. I was gonna say, everyone knew a kid who had a
like that.
birthday in December, and I knew a kid who was like literally like a week before Christmas.
Yep.
And yeah, you get that, like they got a present from grandma, happy birthday and Merry Christmas.
Yep.
She opens it up, and then I think there was a note saying, "Don't forget to share with your brother."
Yes. By the way, this is for both of you.
Yeah, exactly. I can't even imagine what that would have been like.
Yeah, no, but like touches like that,
yes.
Like you can tell like that the writer like really took great care when he was really like writing out these scenes, because like almost every scene had a little bit of that, and it was funny, and in some places it was touching. And then I'm not gonna give a spoiler for the ending.
Yeah, but
the ending of the movie was so not what I expected. And it was like, yeah, I was like, wow. I was like, I did not expect to feel this way when we got to the end. So
that's what annoyed me about the movie.
The ending?
I wanted the ending to not swerve.
Oh, see,
and
I loved it because we sat through an entire movie expecting something, and we
Yep.
knew it was going to get there.
Yep.
And I'm like, yeah, we're going to get there. There's no question about it. But the way that it got there, to me, was awesome because it was not what I expected.
The only reason why I didn't like the ending was the way the explanation afterwards occurred.
Did you feel like it was a little too like a throwaway, almost?
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. Like,
I can understand that.
That's the only reason. And again, it didn't ruin the movie for me. But I was just like, oh. And then when they did that with the explanation, I was like, oh, like, okay. But that's me. Check it out for yourself. Let me ask you this, because, and look, when I say this, I am not at all comparing the movies. One is definitely a classic and better than the other. But, like, did this have some sort of modern, like when I say a Christmas Story feel to it, just like, okay, here's some kids, Christmas time, we got some antics happening. You know what I mean? Again, I'm not comparing it.
I'll tell you, I'll say no for this one specific reason. Christmas Story to me is very fun. It exists in its own little bubble because A Christmas Story to me is kind of like a series of shorts put together into a film.
Jeez, I never thought of that. Wow.
Because there's no plot in A Christmas Story. There's none. There's one story where the kid, Ralphie wants his Red Ryder BB gun. But the whole movie is really not about him getting the Red Ryder BB gun. It's about him and how they spent their Christmas. So you had scenes that had nothing to do with that BB gun. It was all about, getting weird presents from your relatives or having to go see Santa Claus at the mall, things like that. You know what I mean? Like there were a bunch of, getting bullied at school. Again, stuff that had nothing to do with what he really wanted in the movie. This movie is a more traditional film where you knew what the story was from the beginning and you knew what they were going after, and everything was about getting to that goal, getting a Nintendo Entertainment System. So I don't weigh them the same.
That was a thesis right there, folks. Yeah. I was not expecting that. I mean,
Sorry.
It makes sense. No. I never thought of a Christmas Story like that.
A Christmas Story is like it's a slice of life movie.
True.
You're going
All right, fair
in to
enough.
just watch. Yeah, you're not getting a plot. You're just getting a slice of life.
So then let me say this then. Would you throw 8-Bit Christmas into like definitely something that like a family can watch almost every year as like a nice holiday Christmas movie?
8-Bit Christmas to me is a more enjoyable Jingle All the Way.
Fair enough. Okay. You know what? That I can take. I can absolutely take.
You know what I mean?
That.
Same story. Jingle All the Way was about getting the action figure doll, right? Yes. Parent trying to get the action figure doll for his kid. Like it's kind of like that with the kids trying to get the NES. So yeah. Right. Do I put it as a holiday film? Absolutely. Would I watch it every year? Yeah, I would, because again, the nostalgia factor for me made it work.
All right.
So
fair enough, and definitely something for the family. Like I said, it's a little over an hour and a half, so you can definitely check that out. And I mean, if it's on HBO Max, I'm pretty sure it's not going to leave HBO Max, so it will be on there for everyone to check out. So and Neil Patrick Harris, you can't go wrong with NPH. So
no, he did a great job as the storyteller. And
that's what he's a very good storyteller. I mean, he's a very good actor. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But storytelling wise, he was very good at that as well.
Yes.
So
and Steve Zahn embodied literally every dad from the 80s.
You know what I liked about Steve Zahn? He didn't make it a parody.
Yes.
Like, okay, yes, he's constantly working on the house. And the recurring joke is, where did he leave his tools? And they're in the stupidest spots.
Yes.
But at the same time, like, when he had to be a dad, he was a dad.
He was a dad.
And he would lay down the law. But otherwise, it was. So that's what it was. The movie always kind of bordered on almost being like a satire of itself, but it never crossed the line. And it kept it in almost reality based, except for when
a few crazy things.
Actually playing the system.
Yes.
that was the stupid things. Like, don't worry about your sister.
Don't worry about, yeah, exactly.
So what? Would you rate it any? Like, what would you give it? What would be the Anthony rating? 1 out of 5 NES cards.
Oh, 1 out of 5 NES cards. I would probably give it. For me, as a movie, I'd give it like 3.5 for me. I'll bump it up to a 4 for the
Me too.
nostalgia.
Definitely 4, nostalgia factor. And that's what these two movies really are about. But in a way, ironically, ironically, I guess, Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City, and 8-Bit Christmas both had in very different ways.
Two completely different films.
but very much nostalgia factor, and both fun rides. That's really what they are, fun rides. So check them out for yourself. If you saw the movies, definitely hit us up on social media. Let us know, because when I posted a picture of the Resident Evil poster when I was there, definitely a lot of people would just assume it's going to be bad. Don't go in assuming it's going to be bad. You can walk out afterwards thinking it's bad, but just go in.
Just know that it's bad going in and enjoy it anyway.
That's what I do. Just enjoy the movies. I also like bad movies, but enjoy the movie and just have fun with it. So. Yeah. All right. I don't know. We're going to keep this one on the short end, probably. You want to wrap it up?
No, I think so.
Fair enough.
I want to go back to Sean.
You weren't doing that this whole time?
No. I was actually talking, especially about 8-Bit Christmas.
Yes.
Just one thing to throw out there this week, just so we don't miss a retro birthday. We did a lot of retro birthdays last week. We are completely retro birthdayed out. I was like, but we would be remiss if we did not bring up that this week marks the 20th anniversary of Super Smash Bros. Melee for the Nintendo GameCube.
That's the one that really took it off.
Yep, arguably the best Smash Brothers game in the franchise.
That's what they say, and it's funny, like I didn't get into Smash until like the Wii and the 3DS, but still Melee, everyone's still playing tournaments with it, still playing battles with it, and the fact that even with the Wii U and the Switch, Nintendo released brand new GameCube controllers to play on Smash Brothers Ultimate.
Yep.
That goes a long way saying as well how good Melee was.
Yeah, because the GameCube controller is considered the ultimate controller for Smash Brother games.
It's so rad.
It's so rad. Oh, boy.
So, very cool. Happy birthday.
This is a controller that actually works.
I had a Power Glove. Did you have a Power Glove?
I did not have a Power Glove.
I had a Power Glove, and here's because again, folks, when I was little, I thought Husky was a brand. The large Power Glove still made the tips of my fingers go numb. So
and you still used it.
I did. I had that Power Glove. I remember playing it, using it. Yeah, everything turned blue as far as the tips of my fingers.
Did any game really work with it? Like maybe Clax at best?
I don't even remember being able to truly to get it to work. I mean, I probably did. I probably tried it on Rad Racer. I don't think I tried. No, I tried Punch Out with it. I definitely played Punch Out with it. But like it was weird. The way my TV was set up, I could never get. All right, so here we go. So the Power Glove had these 3 sensors that you put on the TV.
Yep.
Basically hit the 3 corners of the television. But the way my TV was set up, it was on. Now this is, you got to think, back in the 80s, I had like a regular deep television, like a CRT television, that somehow my parents put on the wall.
Okay.
There was like a mounting bracket that they put on the wall, but it was on a slight angle. So the stupid thing would constantly try and slide off. So I can never get it to really go. But I played Rad Racer with it. I played Punch Out with it. And then eventually I got tired of it. And then I snipped the power cord. And then I would just use it to be like, I'm a superhero. And then, being an only child, I would just imagine things and just play. And that's how my Power Glove ended up.
Yeah. Well, Larry, so basically the moral of the story is you haven't changed. Because
it just dawned on me.
In 2021, you play things, and when they don't work, you throw them out.
Well, to be fair, I continue to use the Power Glove just more for using my imagination as a young child and as an only child, just playing alone in my room. But yes, I did. I snipped the power cord. I did, and I just used it as a glorified, like superhero glove.
Say no more.
But it was probably a long time before I did that.
Yeah, but still, say no more. That really does sum up everything.
I guess it really does. I guess it does.
Yes, it does. Who knew that after 5.5 years that really all we were doing here was your therapy?
Oh, we have a long, long way to go. And where can they find us?
You guys can find us on Facebook.com/Retro Gamers Podcast. You can find us on Instagram at Retro Gamers Podcast, on Twitter at Retro Gamers Pod. You can watch us on YouTube, and you can listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. You can email us at email@theretrogamers.com, and you can find Larry probably in Bellevue very shortly.
As long as I get naps, I'm good to go.
Yeah, they give you naps.
So-
Naps. I think they give you drugs too.
Even better.
Drugs and naps.
Hopefully everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving, and hopefully you had a good Thanksgiving.
I did have a good Thanksgiving.
Good.
Thank you very
Excellent.
much. Yes.
As did I. Kind of got back to normal for this
Excellent.
Thanksgiving.
And normal, yep, meeting
Yeah.
people and eating a lot of food.
That's what
I'm
that's
still
what
working
it's all
off
about.
leftovers.
I'm having leftovers in a little while.
There you go.
So,
None
folks, with that, we will catch you everywhere next week on the Retro Gamers Podcast.